Hi guys, I just thought I'd show you what the reality is of having an organic pool. I know in brochures and magazines they have flashy adverts of pristine looking pools, but in reality, come this time of year, they can all look a bit like that. You know, it's pretty drab and the water's really milky, and the water is milky because it's beneficial. Well, it is. It's bacteria basically. What's happening is the organic matter in the pool, because of basic neglect and not taking out enough biomass and nutrient. Anyway, any biomass that's in there is decaying because it's winter, and the nutrients being remineralized. And the first organisms to take advantage of the slight increase in temperature are bacteria. And so bacteria are thriving on those nutrients that are left in the water, or recently reintroduced into the water because of the plants decaying. Anyway, but it's nothing to worry about. Don't worry, it's nothing to worry about. That will soon be overtaken by single-celled algae. So it'll go green instead. But then, don't worry, it'll then go clear in the spring. Once the emergent plants start to grow and start to absorb nutrients, they will outcompete the algae. So all in all, don't worry. But I'm going to do a video of taking out biomass, taking out plants, and what's even more satisfying is taking out non-native plants that shouldn't be in the first place. So anyway, I hope it's informative. Thanks a lot. Bye for now. In a pathetic attempt to make a 10-minute film for increased revenue from YouTube, but with only 45 seconds of substance, we go outside the pond to look at some trees, carry about a couple of bizarre items, use a wood saw in barely imaginable ways, and capture an alien with nothing more than a rake. Not to mention the gratuitous image of cold water swimming in thankfully opaque water. All this, along with some other stuff, might be explained, so keep watching. On second thoughts, why bother? The start of a new year seems the perfect time to furnish some love on the pool. And for my New Year's resolution, I've resolved not to say the word nutrient. It's January and I've left it a bit late to do any pond maintenance, cutting back vegetation. In fact, I've left it so late in terms of years that now I've got to the point where I've got trees coming out of the water, and it's making access a bit tricky. I've already cut down a load here, a load of willow and alder, so I'm just going to cut this down. There's another willow, but you know when you've left things too late, when you're having to clear your pond of woodland. But at least with every bit of wood, I'm removing quite a lot of nutrients from the pool. I'm actually sawing through this sedge as well to get at the willow. The great thing about a saw is you can then get in and do some cutting underwater and then rake it out. I'll just do that actually. While we are waiting for the excitement to continue, let's have a few thoughts for the alder tree. Alnus glutinosa is native to the UK, and is quite an extraordinary tree in that it can grow in waterlogged ground, and it can bring fertility by fixing atmospheric nitrogen, rather like leguminous plants. Its timber is resilient in water and has traditionally been used to make canal lock gates, and most of the pilings that form the foundations of Venice were made from alder trees, so I guess alder timber should be perfect for the underwater structures in a pool. And this is something I must try. The most surprising use is for electric guitars. Fender guitars have been built with alder since the 1950s.
Okay, that's most of the willow.
The uses for willow, however, is a shorter list. Willow bark can be chewed as an aspirin alternative, if desperate, but the timber is almost useless, except for cricket bats, so I suppose that equates to being totally useless.
Got my rake. There we go. Oh, it's a nice bit. In fact, there's a marsh marigold there, which I may retrieve. But we could just do this. This is a bit late in the year. This should have been done in the autumn, really. Now the vegetation started to rot quite significantly. We really want to intercept this so it captures the nutrients, and you've removed nutrients from the pool. Obviously chuck handfuls away when you can. There's so much stuff in here. What you can do is mount a saw on a pole or a long piece of wood. In fact, a piece of wood you've just pulled out of the pond would be handy. And just go along and saw in the places you can't reach. And then with a nice strong rake, get in and pull more stuff out. So all of this is great. It contains lots of nutrients that you've now taken outside the pool. And when the pool is low in nutrients, in the summer, the water should be nice and clear. But it's certainly not clear at the moment. In fact, the water is all very cloudy, but that is normal for January. There we go. Some more nice stuff. And of course I'm making it all muddy here, disturbed. But once the plants grow in the spring, this will all start to look lovely again.
This marginal plant, if left unchecked, can be problematic. It's New Zealand pygmyweed. It's a non-native.
So this has got to be one of the most satisfying ways of removing biomass from the pool. I'm removing this non-native species, which is New Zealand pygmyweed, or scientific name Crassula helmsii. Or is it Helmsy? I don't know. Helmsii, probably. Now all of this biomass I'm removing is actually removing nutrient from the pool system, native or non-native, but taking non-native stuff out gives you an even greater sense of satisfaction. I think there might be some marsh marigolds just coming up there, even though it's just January. There'll be spearwort and water forget-me-nots. Just making a mess of the water, but this disturbed sediment will just settle here. That's why I've got the pumps off. You don't really need them on in the winter anyway. If you wanted to reduce ice formation, if you felt that necessary, where's the camera? Oh, it's over there. If you did want to reduce ice formation, then you can put the pumps on. But obviously, if you're somewhere where it's really cold, you're going to get thick ice, you're never going to stop it anyway. But in the UK, it works to keep ponds clear. Obviously, in this case, they're off because I don't want the sediment to be carried into the main body of the pool. Once I've finished here, this will just settle back down and be part of the plant substrate again, and be bound together by the roots of the marginal plants. And these marginal plants will hopefully now be more predominantly native, because this crassula actually does come out quite satisfyingly well.
And after all of that raking, it seems almost pleasant to get into the pond.